What's going on, y'all? Podcast episode 90. We are officially in the 90s, baby. Hope everyone's doing well. Just left the gym. It's hot as shit here in Cincinnati, baby. Whew, I'm pretty sure it was closer to 105 today outside. The heat index booming right now. Definitely a little sleepy, a little tired today, but still had to get it in. Just gave it my best today, you know. Sometimes our best isn't the same every day, but that's okay, as long as we're still giving our best. Still doing the best we can. That's really all we can do, you know? And I just felt like real tired and just drained all day for some reason. And I think I'm gonna really need a rest day here soon, where I don't hit the gym and just really give my body just a relaxation day for real. Because I definitely feel like my gym life has kind of decreased a little bit as far as like my output level, you know, for whatever reason that is. But I don't know, man. I'm still going. I'm hitting every day. But maybe I'm not eating the best. Maybe I'm not getting the best sleep. I'm not really too sure. But yeah, that's kind of where I've been. It's all good. It's all good. Hope you guys are doing well. Can't believe we're in the 90s. It's kind of crazy, episodes wise. When I had a podcast going a few years back, I guess if you wanted to call it that, just a series of videos, I guess. And and I eventually took them down for whatever reason. But when I did that, it kind of left a gap. It left like a hole where I just wanted a place to be able to communicate and express, my feelings day in, day out. And, so I really wanted to get it back up and running again, And it's nothing fancy. It's nothing deep or in depth or anything professional. It's just a way for me to communicate how I feel, what I'm going through. Just kind of a healthy way to express myself, outside of music. Because even when you're creating music, to a certain extent, you feel limited on your expression, Like you just can't get everything out. So you kind of sort of summarize your feelings on songs. And I just feel like this podcast or this episode of videos allows me to really get stuff out. And even to a certain extent, I find myself holding myself back from really expressing shit that I'm going through, for whatever reason. Maybe it's a fear of like being judged or whatever. But I'm just doing the best that I can. And like I said before, sometimes your best isn't always the same day in, day out, week in, week out, But as long as I'm growing and maturing and just becoming the person that, I'm meant to be, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So, maybe one day this podcast will become something deeper than what it is now. But to be 90 episodes into something that is just kind of like expression in a raw form, I'm pretty proud of that. I'm proud of just staying consistent with something outside of music, And it's hard to be consistent. It is. It's hard to be consistent. And I've had friends tell me, damn, dude, you're like the most consistent person I know. But it's hard, It's really hard to stick to something and stick to it on an everyday basis or weekly basis. But really, that's what I'm trying to do with my life, Just create consistent habits, healthy habits, to really sort of shape my life, And I guess when you're consistent for a long time, you kind of start to see things sort of shape into things that maybe you didn't see before. But I think also sometimes you have to be honest with yourself and realize, like, maybe your consistency needs to change over time. Because, to be honest, especially with music, especially with the gym, I feel like I've been consistent for a long time, but I really haven't gotten the results that I feel like my consistency should bring, And, there's no one to blame but myself. Sometimes I wish I had people in my life that kind of would look at the big picture and tell me kind of where I'm going wrong or what I need to change to get me on the right path. Sometimes I wish I had people in my life that were on the same path that I want to be on, but just a little bit further, so they could kind of help guide my steps. But I can genuinely say I don't really have that, And that's not a slight to anybody in my life. It's not a slight to anything, It's just the truth. And sometimes we have to be true to ourselves and admit when things are wrong, And I like there's bumper sticker on this car in front of me. It says, "I hope something good happens to you today." And to be honest with you, man, that feels good to read. I feel like I've been in a spot for a while of just being sort of comfortable with where I'm at. But in the back of my mind, knowing that I'm outgrowing that comfort, knowing that I'm outgrowing where I'm at. And, if you continue to outgrow where you're at, it's just going to breed unhappiness. And, I definitely feel like I have been unhappy recently. For whatever reason. And I'm trying to work through it. I'm trying to get through it and have a positive, optimistic point of view about where I'm at. But it does feel like it's getting tougher. And maybe there's some blessings on the other side. Maybe there's some stuff that I'm just overlooking. But, the truth of the matter is I feel like I've been consistent for long enough to know that there's an issue. There's an issue that needs resolving. And maybe I'm overlooking it, It's tough to still be making music, but feel like you're in the same position that you were in years ago, It's tough to still be hitting the gym and feel like you're still at the same level that you were years ago, I just don't know what it is. I don't know what my problem is that's kind of causing me to feel this way. I don't know what my problem is that's making me feel like, I deserve more out of life, And, it definitely has nothing to do. I'm thankful for the blessings in my life. Do not get me wrong. I'm thankful for my family, my friends, the things I have. But I do feel like maybe I should be a little bit further along, And maybe I'm just being too hard on myself. Maybe I need to cut myself some slack, give myself some grace. But, I work too hard. I feel like I work too hard to be where I'm at now. So, yeah, man. I guess this is really just me kind of putting it in the universe that, hey, I'm ready for some new blessings. I'm ready for some new scenery. I'm ready for newness, I'm ready for something new. And, if there's a step that I'm overlooking, if there's something out there that I'm not seeing, please make me aware. Let me know. Let me know what it is. So, yeah, man. Sorry to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer, but like I said, there's some times where I feel like I hold myself back from really sort of expressing who I am. And, today was just one of those days where I felt like, I had a lot built up, but I had a lot built up, but not a chance to really let it out today. And, I guess this is my way of letting it out. So, I love you. Thanks for riding with me for 90 episodes. It's been a joy. My goal for this year, coming into this year, was get to 100 episodes. And, we're getting pretty close. getting pretty close. You know, I don't have many people that watch these videos, and that's fine, you know. I just hope that one day somebody comes across these videos and maybe it helps them in some way, you know. You know, at times I feel like I'm not as useful as I should be. I'm not as valuable at serving other people. You know, I find that I serve myself a lot more than I serve others, and you know, I think that's selfish of me. You know. You know, I hope that this series of videos helps somebody someday, you know. You know, I hope that I hope at some point I become valuable enough to be more useful and you know, serve in the way that I should be. You know, it's tough feeling like you got a lot to give, but really no way to give it, you know. And I try to through my music. I try to inspire others. You know, that's my whole goal of even making music to begin with. You know, I want to be able to inspire people to create. And you know, sometimes I feel like sometimes it just feels like it kind of falls by the wayside, you know. So it is where it is. It is what it is. I'm giving myself some grace, and you know, maybe I shouldn't be so hard on myself. Maybe I should just be more positive and take the pressure off of me, of feeling like I always have to I guess be on the receiving end of shit. And who knows, man, this episode's probably a jumbled up mess of conflicting bullshit that's just kind of running through my mind, but you know, it is honest. It is honest. You know, I didn't have a plan or anything coming onto this. I just hit play and sort of whatever comes out on my way home, that's what you get. Nora's been saying, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. And, you know, maybe I should take that advice. You know, you get what you get, you don't throw a fit. So, thanks again. Podcast episode 90. And here we are, man. We're in the 90s. So we only go up from here. And, you know, like I said before, man, if you ever give your time to me, or if you share your time with me, you know, whether it's listening to my music or just tapping into a podcast, scrolling on my Instagram, whatever you do, man, if you spend your time with me, I deeply, deeply appreciate that. And you know, I'd love to know about it. I'd love to become friends with you, because there's probably something we have in common, you know. much love. I got a new song dropping next Friday. It's called Locked In. And yeah, man, we got tons of new music in the works. So we'll talk soon. Podcast episode 90. Much love. Peace.